Number one, to show how special and important the altar and the bringing of the karbanis was. And number two, who's doing the offering, who's bringing up the offerings is the Nisim. And the Nisim are inclusive of every single Jew. Now we understand why from this seemingly irrelevant, insignificant, transient experience, we are making a Zecher L'Doros, a commemoration for all generations for the karbanis of the Nisim. Again, do we give karbanis today? No. Do we know who the Nisim are today? No. Number one, we say the Parshas Anasi and we don't say Tachanun. Even though it was only one time, and it happened thousands of years ago, and in a place and in a time that was very conclusive, meaning what? It wasn't even the Beis HaMikdash, it wasn't even Yerushalayim, it was in the desert, we don't even know where it was. Why are we obsessed with it? Because the karbanis of the Nisim in the inauguration of the altar was a fundamental, eternal experience for all generations. What was that? An idea that was drawn forth and transmitted in actuality in the divine service of every single Jew, even including a time that is so doubled and redoubled darkness and in exile, that we are asking Hashem that through this one-time thing, what was happening? Again, the bris milah only happens one time. But at the end of the day, you are mahul right now. You're fulfilling a mitzvah right now of being mahul, of being circumcised. So the same thing here. Yes, it only happened one time, but at the end of the day, it affected and impacted for generations upon generations all of the holy sparks to be able to ensure that we understand your Torah, kol yemei chayi, all the days of my life, from now until forever. Al pi ha'amar le'el, based on what we said above. Shekarbanis ha'nisim heim inyan nitzchi. That the idea of the karbanis of the tribes, of the leaders of the tribes, is an eternal thing. Hanimsha bechol echad v'echad bechol aderis. That is drawn to every single Jew in all generations. Move on, it's understood. Shema'inyanim ha'miyuchadim shel chodesh Nisan hu. One of the special and important features of chodesh Nisan, hadgasha be'inyan aleph hanitzcha shel nasi Yisrael. What do we emphasize in chodesh Nisan that we don't do in any other month? Number one, the eternality, the foreverness of Nisiya Yisrael, of the princes of the tribe, of the heads of the tribes of the Jewish people. Ki kol nasi b'doire ki nasi arishin b'doire. Every nasi in that generation is akin to the nasi of the first generation. Yeah, look at 37. I said this to you guys a few days ago. Lahayir mikahelis Yaakov. Yeah, me'et ma'areches Rebbe shenasi rasheteves nitzotzei shel Yaakov Avinu. What does Nasi stand for? Nasi stands for Nitzotzoi Shel Yaakov Avinu. And therefore, because it's a spark, what is a Nasi? A Nasi is a spark of, now you know where it is. The Kahelis Yaakov. You can look him up. Who's the Kahelis Yaakov, Levi? Yeah. Is it a sitter? Yeah. So Nasi is what? Nitzotzei Shel Yaakov Avinu. It's a spark of Yaakov Avinu. And a Nasi, number one, the eternality, the foreverness of the heads of the tribes is activated in every generation, because the Nasi of this generation is reflective of the Nasi of the first generation. Beis, number one, we're not only identifying the Nasi, but haiskashrus, the attachment, the connectivity, shel kol echad ve'echad me'Yisrael b'chol dor v'dor l'nisiya Yisrael hanimsheches me'iskashrus. That the attachment and the connectivity of every single Jew in every generation to the leaders of that generation, to the leaders of the Jewish people that are drawn from the hiskashrus, drawn from that connection, drawn from that attachment. Shehaisa bisman Chanukas HaMishkan, that was occurring in the time of the inauguration of the Mishkan, hiskashrus v'chuli nitzchis. That this was an eternal attachment. So again, number one, we are preoccupied in the month of Nisan with the idea of the eternality of and identifying the head of the tribe. And number two, not only the head of the tribe, but what happened when he gave a korban thousands of years ago was he was attaching me and you and all of our brothers and sisters to the heads of the generation. But Yeshloimar, based on this, we could say, Asha Shaychus, the Anitzchius, the Nisiya Yisrael Chodesh Nisan. Surely there is a connection regarding the foreverness of the princes of the Jewish people. Lechodesh Nisan, to the month of Nisan. Mudgashes beYosher benagel lenasi deirenu kveid kedushas b'nei v'chad miyadmor. Is emphasized and underscored much more regarding our nasi, the nasi of our generation, the Frierdiker Rebbe. Hashkacha pratis chavre. I wanted to learn this yesterday, but we were finishing the Maimer. But obviously, we're learning it today. Beis Nisan. Beis Nissan hu yoim hahilula shel anasi kveit kedushas Rashab nishmas Eidin. Beis Nissan 1920 is the yard site, the hilula of the Rebbe Rashab. Get ready, guys. It's not you're going not on 90. You're going 190. Today is the today is the hilula of the Rebbe Rashab, and what the most significant day on the calendar for our Rebbe. Because what happened, Beis Nissan? Yes, the Rebbe Rashab passed away, but the Frierdiker Rebbe Nasi Ador became Rebbe. So this day for the Rebbe, this Rebbe, our Rebbe, Lubavitcher Rebbe, it's his Yud Shvat. What Yud Shvat is to a Chassid, in this day, this was the Rebbe's Yud Shvat. Okay, so just to put that into perspective.
This is the inauguration of the Frierdiker Rebbe.
The inauguration of Frierdiker Rebbe, yeah. Yantiv. So he said, you're going to read it right now. I'm not sugarcoating. I'm reading word for word. Beis Nissan hu yoim ha'ilula shel hadasi kveit kedushas admor ma'yirshab mismar tzedin. Today, Beis Nissan is the hilula of the leader of the Rebbe Rashab. And the beginning, the inauguration of the Nesius of the Frierdiker Rebbe, who's the Nasi of our door. Regarding both of them, we find the idea of eternality. We find the idea of foreverness. Even in the physicality of the world. And not only that we can find by them in a physical orientation the idea of eternality, but also whoever connects to them. And so to all Jews who connect to those Jews who connect to them. Here we go. Yoidim divrei kveit kedushas admor mereshab nishmas Eidin lifnei histalkusai. We know what the last words of the Rebbe Rashab was right before he passed away. And in Yiddish he said, Ich gehe in Himmel, I'm going up, I'm going to heaven. The ksavim laz ich eich. The manuscripts I'm leaving with you. Anoichi oile hashamayim translates it, I'm going up to heaven. Ves haksavim kisvei hachasidus hineni mashir lachem. And the writings, meaning the writings and the teachings of Chassidus, I'm leaving here with you. Pirush hadvarim, to expound on what he said. Again, every single thing that a Nasi, that a Rebbe says is meduyak, is precise, and it's not for stam, it's not for not, but rather it means something. Look what he says. Very, very powerful. What does it mean? I'm going up to heaven, I'm leaving the writings with you. Tzadikim daimim labayra. It says this in Bereshis Rabbah, that tzadikim are mirrors of their creator. Just like God placed himself, entered himself, injected his essence into his Torah. Like our sages say, no, we just learned this. I just learned this with you guys. Shabbos Kufei, now you know where it is. That Anoichi stands for Ana Nafshi Ksavis Yahavis. I, myself, I, my essence, I, my soul, wrote it and gave it. Al derech zebet tzadikim. If the Eibishter said, Ana nafshi ksavis hayahavis, I myself wrote it and gave it, that you're holding on to elokus, you're holding on to godliness, when you're holding on to a Sefer Torah, when you're learning Torah, al derech zebet tzadikim. If tzadikim are reflective of their creators, tzadikim are also doing this. Shenoistim, that they give, umachnisim, and they inject, and they imbue, and they enter, es atzum, their essences, bedivrei Torasam, in the words of their Torah. And this is the intention of what the Rebbe Rashab meant right before he passed away. Ich gehe in Himmel, I'm going to heaven. That through learning his manuscripts, his writing, his Torah, and learning it brings to positive action. To the point that you're going to spread them, disseminate them outwards. You are attaching yourself to him, to his essence. Again, he's not there physically. He is there physically. This is him physically. This is literally, you're holding the Rebbe Rashab. You're holding the Rebbe. Miskashim imoy be'atzma, you're attaching yourself to him in his essence. Mekeva sheichlis et atzmi b'ksavam, being that he imbued his essence, his very being, in his writings. Atzmai kfishanim sebematzu shel aliyas shamayma. And like we find in the situation, he's going up to heaven. Which part of him? Only an aspect of him. But I'm leaving myself, my essence, here with you in my writings. Being that the writings themselves are left, not chaz v'shalom bereft, but to be learned in the physicality of this world. No, when you learn Ayin Beis, when you learn Samach Vav, when you learn Ranat, when you're learning anything of a Rebbe, of a Nasi, you're literally holding on to the physicality of the Rebbe. Hainu, meaning, this is the way that you're able to find eternal attachment to him in a physical way. Between the Nasi, Admor Neshma Seid, and the Rebbe Rashab, and every single Jew. So too we can apply this not only to the Rebbe Rashab who actually said, I'm going to heaven, but I'm leaving the writing down here with you, I'm leaving my essence with you. But we find this by the Friedrich Rebbe Nasi Deirenu, our Nasi. Through his writings, Sfarab, and his books. And his belongings, his property. You're attaching yourself to him, his essence, in a physical way. Look at 46. That just like his children are alive, so too he is alive. But he's saying, what are his children? His children are his chasidus. His children are his writings. Obviously, you need chassidim to learn it. And that's how you make him physically alive. But at the end of the day, he is leaving a physical, fleshy life of his soul in his writings with you, and by you attaching yourself to him, begashmis. V'yesh loimer.
More?
Based on this, we could say, Shekvayit Kedushas Bar V'chad Be'admor Nasi Deirenu Hidgish Zois Teikav B'Maimari Terasa Arishin. This is not just a vart, this is not just a cute thing, but rather the Friedrich Rebbe emphasized this and underscored this immediately in his first Torah. In what was the Friedrich Rebbe's Basi Lagani? No, the Rebbe's Basi Lagani Yud Shvat was Basi Lagani. What was the Friedrich Rebbe's Basi Lagani? What did the Rebbe Rashab say to take the Nesias in Beis Nissan 1920? What was his Basi Lagani? Anybody knows? No? We're going to learn right now. Betur Nasi, in the category, he now is a Nasi. That this is the beginning and the fundamental and foundation of his whole Nesias. Again, just like we obsess over Basi Lagani, that this is like the essence of the Rebbe. And learning the Basi Laganis, again, I told you guys one time before, Mashpia of mine said that the Rebbe had close to 40 Basi Laganis. Every single chapter of the 20 chapters of the Friedrich Rebbe's Basi Lagani was analyzed over almost 40 years of Nesias of the Rebbe. So you'll say, chapter 1 of Basi Lagani of the Friedrich Rebbe is a whole mimer of the Rebbe, 11 chapters, Tafshin Yud Aleph. Chapter 2 is a whole mimer of the Rebbe. You have whole mimarim of the Rebbe dedicated to just one paragraph of the Friedrich Rebbe's mimer. Wow. So what's the Friedrich Rebbe's Basi Lagani? Reishis Goyim Amalek. The Acharisoi Goyim. Yeah? The mimer is called Reishis Goyim Amalek. The head or the beginning of all of the nations of the world is the nation of Amalek. And what does he describe in that mimer? In that mimer he explains the Inyane Kedusha Kayamim B'Kiyum Atzmi B'Nitzchi. Matters of holiness are established in an essential and in eternal way. K'may ha-mitzvahs. Look, this is wild stuff.
Wow.
K'may ha-mitzvahs. Just like a mitzvah. Shenislapshu b'inyanim gashmim. That are enclosed in physical things. Klaf ha-gashmim v'temer ha-tzitzis u'kai gam nev'chol ma sheberitzoyne yisbarich kelim re'uyim laharis ha'or ha'elyin. That these physical items of parchment and of wool, etc., are the matters, are the materials, are the substances in which Hashem's will desired that they should particularly be vessels to house the light of the divine light of Hashem. So when they are established as mitzvahs, they are eternal and lasting forever. He continues. We can say, it says, this is from Eitz Chaim, Shar Dalid, that Kedusha never leaves its place. Kedusha leizazim im kaima. Kedusha never detaches from the place that you establish Kedusha. V'tashvishe kedusha, and items of kedusha, b'kedusha and heim oindim, in their holiness they stand. Right? This is Megillah Daf Chavav. Okay? Kalaymar, what does this all mean? Again, this is wild stuff. Get ready to take a turn.
Going 290 now.
Being that all aspects of holiness stem from the core of holiness. Who's the core of holiness? HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'atzmai, Hashem Himself. Being that Hashem is established, is eternal, with a forever lasting eternality. We know his essence, his being comes from his own essence. Right? This is from look at 53. Even the idea of saying something that is eternal is still limited to the idea of time. Right? Something that is truly eternal is beyond the framework of time. Hey. What's up? Yeah. That which is not attached to the framework or the conditions of time cannot even be termed eternal, right? Eternal means that it will last forever. If it will last forever, it implies that it is still relegated to the limitations of time that will then last forever. You hear the difference? So even saying nitzchi is a limitation on God. Even saying God is eternal means that he's still stuck within the realm of time to be eternal. Yeah. So the Rebbe is saying it's a Shem HaMushal, it's a borrowed term, because we don't have the language to really describe what Hashem really is, which is what? Eternal beyond time, so we just have to use the word nitzchi. And he says this is where mitzvahs come from. So to his holiness and his light, that we know that light is always attached to the luminary and reflective of the luminary. Right? This is, by the way, this is very fundamental Samach Vav stuff. Davuk b'ma'or, meaning to say that the Torah, mitzvahs, tzaddikim, etc., holiness, souls are davuk b'ma'or, just like the moment that you, so to speak, eclipse the sun, the attachment of the light also becomes eclipse. So too, they're in the positive. If the luminary always is, then the light always is as well, because it's davuk b'mar. And regarding this, it says there, again, this is the first mimer of the Frierdiker Rebbe to take the Nesius. Umakam atayre ba'avoda shel tzadik b'kedushasei hugam la'acher aloisei mechaye. Chemia. Brother. So again, what are we saying right now? Get it very clear. Mitzvahs themselves are an expression of God's essence. Why? Because being that God is the essence of all holiness, any light and any expression from His holiness is still attached to Him. So therefore, His will and desire, as it's manifest in klaf of tefillin and semer of tzitzis, is a reflection of really His being and His essence. Mm-hmm. So now, the place of Torah and divine service of a tzaddik in his holiness, is still established, even though his body physically left to go to the true life, right, Gan Eden. Nevertheless, a glimmer, a radiance of his divine service is established in his physical place. Why? Because being that the place that he learned Torah and occupied himself, all utensils, all vessels that he used for matters of holiness, their holiness is Kedushasei aleim, the kedusha that is upon them is michelke birurei ba'olam, is part of the lifting and sifting through of the physical world. Again, this is to emphasize even after he passed away. Why? Because kedusha leizazon imkoin. Now, I don't want to get too political, but it is interesting to show that people quibble over various individuals in 770 and the Rebbe's chair and where the Rebbe sat. Based on this, what's there to quibble about? It's mamish kodesh hakdashim. Even if you can't see. At the end of the day, he used this chair for the whole Nesias. He used this table for... We're not talking about mitzvahs. We're talking about Tashmisha Kedusha. We're not even talking about tefillin and tzitzis. We're talking about Tashmisha Kedusha, the table in which he used to learn Torah. Which, by the way, the Rebbe's table in his office was hand carved by the Rebbe Maharash.
What?
There is a table there.
Oh, not the table? Oh.
That one is too fancy.
Whoa, what? There's a smaller table?
There's a table, the Rebbe Marash in the Rebbe's room.
Carved out by the Rebbe Marash?
Yeah.
Where?
The Rebbe Maharash had
Craftsman
Problems.
issues with his
Dexterity.
yeah, something like that. So he had to keep busy with his hands.
Oh, very good.
So he would carve things.
Craftsman.
Umevi al zebir sipur me'aviv, and the Friedrich Rebbe brings a maise from his own father, the Rebbe Rashab, with his own father, the Rebbe Maharash. V'ra'isi pam ki kveit kedushas amur harav hakodesh hakam. What's that?
Hareni.
Kapara. Yeah. Nichnas lecheder aviv. Yeah. Nichnas lecheder aviv kedushas azmur. Right. Azmur ztzuklala. Yeah.
Azmur at the name of his game.
My grandfather. Yeah. So the Friedrich Rebbe is saying, I saw my father, the Rebbe Rashab, go in to the room of the Rebbe Maharash.
This is the Friedrich Rebbe saying.
The Friedrich Rebbe said, I witnessed the Rebbe Rashab, my father, enter the room of the Rebbe Maharash, but the Rebbe Maharash already passed away. Listen. The Rebbe Maharash's room was organized as if he was still living there. This was in the year Memhei or Memvav. We were talking about 1885 or 1886. Okay? 1885, 1886. V'nichnas levush bechagura. The Rebbe Rashab put on a gartel. Ve'amad eitzel hashulchan lemul kisei shvatoi. And he stood by the table, and look, italics on the word table, and next to the chair in where the Rebbe Maharash sat. V'svasav nois kimidaber. And I saw, the Friedrich Rebbe saying, I saw my father, the Rebbe Rashab's lips moving as if he's speaking to somebody. Ubacha harbe, and he was crying a lot. This is the Friedrich Rebbe witnessing the Rebbe Rashab after the Rebbe Maharash passed away. And again, his room was organized as if he was still living there, and his father puts on a gartel, goes to go see the Rebbe. Again, he passed away. This is in 1886 or 85 or 86. 1885 or 1886. So now the Rebbe is going to explain. And this is very deep. How can you explain this? It's understood. It's better understood. Based on what the Friedrich Rebbe says in that Maimer, Reish is going Mamalik. She'enina Amar, what we just said above, regarding the eternality of the space of the holiness of the tzaddik, Shal tzaddik. Baba Hemshech Lamavur Sham be'inyin hakelim shayidadam dvekusam be'isachdus ha'or bahem haregam heim be'bechinas kiyum atzmi. Okay, you hear what he's saying now? K'maya or. Now, where is he quoting from? Haynu loik rak advekus v'kiyum shebekelim mitzad atzmam diyu v'garmei chad tikunei zoyer shehu loik k'moy ha'achdus diyu v'chayu chad ra hemshech mayim rabim tafreish lamed vav hemshech v'kachat tafreish lamed zayin hemshech samach vav. Right? You see the 55, all the places that he's quoting. Kol echad gam be'bechinas kiyum atzmi shala'or. Why is he quoting this? You hear the radicalness of what's happening right now? Mm-hmm. The Rebbe is basically saying that similar to how Al Pi Kabbalah you have the fusion of Iris and Kalim in the worlds of Atzilus. That's literally the physicality and the physical material things that a tzaddik uses are like the kelim of Atzilus compared to the light and or of Atzilus that is the neshama of the tzaddik. I'll say that again. Yeah. Similar to how Hashem structured reality, spiritual reality, in a way of spherois, of iris and kelim, a fusion of light and the container to contain that light. Mm-hmm. And the connection between them is used to be able to facilitate the next world. Okay. So too, reflective of that phenomena is happening in the physical world, particularly by a tzaddik's physical items that those physical items are literally like the kelim of Atzilus, and the tzaddik himself is like the oiris of Atzilus. Okay? So now I'm going to read the words again. What does the Friedrich Rebbe say in that Maimer? We're talking about the kelim, right? The kelim of Atzilus. Through their attachment and their unification with the light, with the energy in them. So to the kelim themselves become an everlasting, essential being. Like the or, right? So you're telling me like, it's not only the ray of the sun and the sun, but whatever can hold on to the ray of the sun and facilitate its expression becomes one with the sun itself also. Again, the kelim of Atzilus, like you spoke about on Shabbos, right? We give the mashal, like the colored glasses, right? Mm-hmm. You have the colored glasses that, again, the colors refract and show different colors, but at the end of the day, it's all the same water. But what happens when you freeze water and make a keli out of that, right? And then you fill water in it. So the keli and the are really of one substance. Mm-hmm. So too, again, it's a very trivial mashal, but compared to the or is davuk. The kelim are attached to the or, and the or is attached to the ma'or. So now he's saying, just like in the world of Atzilus, the lights become united with the vessels, but the light and the vessel that are now united are now one with the luminary that is shining, right, into the energy of the vessel. So too, the fulfillment and the everlastingness of the holiness of this physical space of the tzaddik, v'chol kelev, and all of his vessels, shehayishtamish bahem tzaddik, that he used in his life. Again, you're not talking about mitzvahs. You're talking about his gartel. You're talking about his table. You're talking about his chair. Litzarche avoda, anything that was required for divine service, harigam le'acher aloisei michaya agufes, even after he has ascended from a life of physical body. This is similar and reflective and exemplary of the essential eternalness of the kelim of the Eser Sfiros, mitzad bitulam is achdusam imaor, by function of their nullification and their attachment and their oneness with the light. You hear what he's saying? That the physical items of this world, that the holiness of the tzaddik is so vivid and is so profound that the things that we take for granted, that we just are disposable of, they become eternally holy, like the kelim of Atzilus. Yeah. The Yeshleimer, you say to me, so we can say even more than this. This is wild. Shazau, this is loyudak big dugma. This is not only an example. I'm not only saying this like, the physical table of the tzaddik is like the kelim of Atzilus. No. It's literally it. That the eternalness, the establishing of eternal energy in the place of Torah and Avodah of the tzaddik, and all items, all physical items that he was using, the kelim shel eses fidus, is literally of the same level, of the same caliber of eternal energy, like the kelim of the eses fidus. That's wild. The olam atzilus that he emphasizes of olam atzilus. Don't think it's bringing tzirasiyah. No. So, Chevra, when you're looking at a table, a chair of the Rebbe, you're talking about it's literally a kelim of Atzilus. The Yeshleimer, we could say Shazem Muvan Gami Mashikos Betanya, like it says in Tanya. Bebir Maimer Chazal, what our sages say. How is this possible? And why not by me? Why this table somebody's going to just throw away? But by them not? Because at the end of the day, I'm not a Merkava. Ha'avas Heinan a Merkava. The Avas, our forefathers, are literally like chariots. Shebechol Inyaneim Hayu Merkava Datzilus, that in every aspect and facet of their lives, they are vessels, they are, what do you say? Conduits. Yeah, of the world of Atzilus. That by way of them, you hear what he's saying? By way of them, similar to them or like them, the words of tzaddik and nisim shahem dugmasam. The tzaddikim and nisim are like them.
Wow. Opa. I have a roadblock with that Atzilus stuff, man. That's so serious. It's not going to come in here and say, what is this bias?
The instruction from all of the above. Why are we emphasizing this so much? What's this obsession? Okay, I see it, I don't see it. To know that the life of a tzaddik is an eternal one. And not only in spiritual matters, but rather we are making this relevant to the place in where he lived and all of his physical items, shulchan v'kisai, his table, his chair, and as we emphasize, Kedusha Leizaza Mim Koima. Holiness never leaves its space. Hamakim Agashmi, we're talking about the physical space, Becheder Aviv, like the room of my father. In addition to the spiritual stature, Maila or Madrega, the spiritual stature of where he's holding. Because the holiness of a tzaddik is permeating all of his things. Even the items and the space that he's using for matters of divine service. So I want to just, I don't mean to sound trivial, but you're talking like his forks, his spoons, his knives, his utensils, anything that he made a bracha on, anything that he sat on, anything. Because again, you're talking about a chariot of Atzilus. You're talking about an individual that had no ego. He never edged God out. He only was absolutely aligned and fully, he had absolute attunement to his soul. There was no space of division between soul and body. And being that there was no space of division between soul and body, there's no space of division between any items that his body needed in order to fulfill his mission in this world. This is the emphasis of what the Friedrich Rebbe says about the Rebbe Rashab, about the Rebbe Maharash, that the place in which he learned Torah and all of his items that he used for matters of holiness and matters of avodah, but you say to me even more than this. The holiness of the place and the items shall tzaddik of the tzaddik. Even after he passes away, even after we fools in this world cannot see him, we think we can't see him. I'll read the words again. Even more than this, don't think that it ever went away. Rather, right now, the items and space of where the tzaddik was when he was alive physically is literally the same life force that he was physically right now. It's as if he's using them right now. Neshama beguf, and neshama in a body. Okay, move on. As it's known, from the story that we just said above, that the Rebbe Rashab went into the Rebbe Maharash's room. And all aspects of the room were organized as if he was living, like when he was living. And he put on a gartel, and he stood by the table where he sat. He repeats the whole thing twice. His lips were murmuring, and he was crying a lot. Again, this is the Friedrich Rebbe witnessing the Rebbe Rashab. As if he was alive, like when he was alive. That when he went into Yechidus. What is Yechidus? What is Yechidus? Is the connection, the combination of the Yechidus Shabnefesh of the Chassid with the Yechidus Shabnefesh of the Rebbe. In the lifetime of the Rebbe Maharash. So basically he's saying what? There is no change, there is no difference. Because by a Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab clearly could see. Like the famous story with the Rebbe telling Rav Gurari, no? Just go to the oil. Yeah, just go to the oil. He's like, what do you mean just go to the oil? The Friedrich Rebbe will answer you. He said, he answers you? That alone makes you a Nasi. Just go to the oil. So he's saying the same thing. The Rebbe Rashab is literally speaking to the Rebbe Maharash as if he's alive. Not as if he's alive. Like when he was alive. Now, based on what the Rebbe Rashab said, I'm going up to heaven, but I'm leaving with my manuscripts down here below. Move on, it's understood. When you attach yourself to the leader of the generation, how do you attach yourself to the leader of the generation? Not only by needing to see him physically, but rather attaching ourselves to his ksavav, to his writings, sfarav, his books, that in them he injected his essence. You are drawing from the wellspring of eternality, from the holiness of that tzaddik. To all those who are going in the right path in which he instructed us forever and ever. Not only holding onto the Sefer, I own Likkutei Sichos, but I'm learning Likkutei Sichos. Learning the Ksavasar. Not only learning it, but actually bringing it down into my action and concrete life. Whether in and of yourself, or through spreading the wellsprings of Chassidus, to the outside. This is how you conjure. This is how you motivate. This is how you reveal. All of the sparks of holiness and all the divine lights and holy lights that are included. Ben Nasi Adar, in the Nasi, the leader of the generation. Shekoil al-Hakol, that is inclusive of everything. That he includes everyone. Ki Anasi hu Hakol, like Rashi says, the Nasi is inclusive. He's a comprehensive soul of every single thing. Vezepoil, and this activates lahavinu lahaskel teresecha, to understand and to fathom your Torah. Koilul bifrad benudu didan, especially and particularly Haksavim v'sperm shal Nasi. Who are you referring to? To your Torah, but your Torah as it's manifest through the Nasi, right? How the doctor of this generation, and your reverence, to fulfill your will. The idea of the eternality. How can you get this energy of eternality and foreverness? Is by attaching yourself to eternality and foreverness. Who is that manifest in the physical world that is beyond physicality and in physicality simultaneously? Nasi Ador Tzaddik. How do we attach this very intense idea to actuality? We must attach ourselves to the leaders of every generation. But in our generation, the Friedrich Rebbe, the Rebbe says, through this you will become a receptacle to the eternal energy of that Nasi. And this will then activate in you to understand and fathom your Torah. Nigle the Torah, primis Torah, the exoteric and the esoteric. Including the Torah of our Rebbeim and our Nesiim. How great is study, because it leads to action. To act, to fulfill your desire. To fulfill your desires. All the days of your life, kiyum mitzvahs bepayil, to fulfill mitzvahs in actuality. Obefrat kiyum mitzvahs ve'ayirah beinyanim shazman grama. What does the Rebbe want? Mivtza Pesach. How do we activate? How do we reveal this energy? You have to go on Mivtzayim and you have to do Mivtza Pesach. What is mitzvah Mivtza Pesach? What's doing Mivtzayim for Pesach? Lahachines atzmai. Chever Nushua's Koil is going to spread Yiddishkeit. How? You have to prepare yourself. Ves b'nei Yisrael achiv. And your holy brethren, your Jewish friends, your brothers. Ves klal Yisrael. What should you do? L'chag ha-Pesach li'shtadel v'lidoig l'shkol echad v'echad Yisrael yiloi kol tzarech echag. That you should what? Look, he said lidoig. You should worry. You should be anxious on behalf of your friend. Does he have matzah? Does he have maror? Does he have charesis? What does he need? Hein begashmis, ve'hein beikir be'amaysa asher yaseh tzrachav haruchnim. Not only physically, but also spiritually. Yediyas halachas Pesach u'mitzvahs hachag. To know the halachas of Pesach and the mitzvahs of Hachag. Hachel me'aschala ha'hilchas had a Pesach u'milela seder. To know all those things. The Rebbe is saying practically, I want you to learn Hilchas Pesach for yourself, and then to teach your friend, and also to make sure that what? That every single Jew you know has matzah. Kol anal shaykh v'yuchad ha'inyin shedoiver oides la'achrena al derech ve'asu l'mikdash v'shachad v'seichem. All of the above is especially applicable to what we've been saying lately regarding the idea of making for Hashem a sanctuary and dwelling among, and He will dwell amongst them. What do we say? That the energy and the power of all of the divine services throughout the Mishkan, all were able to be revealed through the inauguration, through the commemoration of the Mizbeach that we are saying now through the Nasi. Canal Sivdali, we say above, Li Le'olam. And any place that it says Li, me, right? Truma. It says the word Li. What is the word? Vayikach? No, what's Truma? How does Truma start? Vayikoli Truma. Vayikoli Truma. Yeah, bring for me Truma. Whenever it says Li, Ein Izaz Le'olam, it means it's for my essence and it will never leave eternally. Shekol Yisrael, Nashim Etaf. Every single Jew, men, women, and children. Yasu Beisam V'Chadaram. Look what he says here, amazing. That they must make their homes and their rooms al derech mikdash me'at, akin to a miniature sanctuary. Bayis Torah, Tefillah, Gmilas Chasadim, Tzedakah, a place of Torah, a place of davening, a place of good of tzedakah. Now you know why the Lubavitchers are all obsessed, because the Rebbe said these things, that your own home, and not only in your room, should become a Beis Chabad. HaShulchan, Kisei, what do you say about the tzaddik? It's Shulchan and his Kisei, your table and your chair. Yasu, Kelim, Lekdusha should all become permeated vessels of holiness. You should have a home filled with Sfarim. Okay, Mudgash Gam B'Chag Pesach. This is emphasized in Pesach. Asher Pesach al Batik B'nei Yisrael. Wow, he's associating Pesach with the idea of the homes. He leaped over the homes of the Jewish people. How do you make your home leap? Making a Beis Chabad, making your room a place of holiness. Especially, we must pay attention to the education of young children. They are the heads of the contributors of the Seder Pesach. So to the point that we do things for them, and particularly for them prior to Pesach. We do interesting things that they shouldn't fall asleep, and we should pique their interest. So we see that Pesach is all about the home and all about the kids. They should have their own siddur, chumash, lahavdil, kubas tzaka. He says lahavdil because you shouldn't give on Shabbos or Yom Tov. So he wants to separate that. It's siddur and chumash you could use on Shabbos and Yom Tov, but kubas tzaka should. Chein haggadah shel Pesach im tziyurim. They should each have their haggadah Pesach with pictures. Very practical, huh?
Yeah, I'm saying that's giving stuff on Yom Tov.
No.
Yeah. I'm saying like to give them their own.
No, he's saying in general, every child should have their own siddur, their own chumash, and their own staka pushka. But he's saying lahavdil because you should know that you shouldn't. I'm not telling you to give staka on Yom Tov or Shabbos. Shaydei calls that oisech hadari. What are you doing through this? You make your room, shulchana yumitasa, your table, your bed. Mikdash me'at, a small miniature sanctuary, kli likdusha, a vessel for holiness. And what do we say? The holiness is literally akin to the holiness of the kelim of Atzilus, like the tzaddik. Holiness never departs from their place. But remember, what did the Rebbe Rashab do when he entered into the Rebbe Maharash's room? He put on a gartel, mamish, like as if he's alive, and he stood by his table. Like regarding it says, know before whom you're standing. So who's he standing before? Is he standing in front of somebody who passed away? No, he's standing in front of somebody who is forever. His kelim are forever, so he's forever. And he's speaking. Im d'mai shel simcha. He's speaking with tears of joy. Like a son that is speaking to his father. Ben yachid lehoidim zkenim, like the Baal Shem Tov says, like a only child that was born to elderly parents. Yisrael, that's what a Jew is. We are children to our Father in heaven. That this causes such a great pleasure and joy for the Father. Oh, look, Hamshech Samach Vav says also. No, Hamshech Mekacha. That the pleasure of the Creator is activated through the pleasure of creations. That when we're with Simcha, we trigger Hashem's Simcha. To the point that all of this, don't think this is just trivial things, making a bed, making a table, having a chitas, having Bais Bal Sfarim. These are not trivial things. These are all contributors to the Mikdash HaGadol, Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, V'sham B'Kedesh HaKdashim, and there in the Holy of Holies, Yechida Shebemakim Shebailam, the most unique place in which the Yechida of the soul of reality is lying there. Sheshama Yechida Shel Kol Nefesh B'Yisrael. That this is the soul of every single Jew. Is attached to the Yechida of Hashem, Yechuda Shel Olam, the singular energy of creation, with the complete and true redemption through Mashiach Tzidkenu. Who's Mashiach Tzidkenu? Yechida HaKlalis. He's the comprehensive Yechida of every single soul. It should be revealed momentarily.
Amen.
Different person after this.
That was a lot.
No,